Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi says there are limits to what international intervention can achieve in Darfur. As pessimism grows over Darfur talks with the absence of key rebel leaders, what is the likely outcome of these talks? This is Inside Story. Hello, I'm Imran Garda. They're only into their second day, but the latest Darfur peace talks look set to be postponed. Most of the rebel chiefs embroiled in the four-year conflict have failed to show up. Now, those who are meeting in the Libyan town of Sirte are pleading with their absent counterparts to join the negotiations. Missing rebel leaders say they haven't been given enough time by UN mediators to form a united plan. Now, the UN's chief envoy to the joint UN and African Union mediating team says the gathering is likely to be adjourned for several weeks. Meanwhile, the Sudanese government has claimed the high ground at the start of the talks by declaring a unilateral ceasefire.
The world could not wait for us anymore. All parties are pushing towards peace. We invite all those who have comments or opinions to come to this round in order to discuss them.
When major conflict erupted in Darfur 4 years ago, there were just two major rebel groups. Since then, the insurgents have splintered into a confusing array of competing factions. Those groups are, firstly, the Sudan Liberation Movement, or SLM. It was established in 2001, and in 2005 it split into three. The SLM Minni faction, the only one to sign the 2006 Darfur peace agreement. The SLM Abdul Wahid An-Nur faction. An-Nur is now in exile in Paris, but his group of fighters is no longer thought to be the largest. The SLM Unity faction, led by Abdullah Yahya, which is predominantly made up of ethnic tribes in North Darfur. The second major group is the Justice and Equality Movement. Founded in 2003, it is led by Khalil Ibrahim Muhammad and has been fragmented into several groups, of which the most significant are the NMRD, or the National Movement for Reform and Development, which broke away in 2004 and is said to have Chadian backing, and the National Redemption Front, founded with Eritrean backing in 2006. While joining us to discuss the Darfur Peace Conference are our guests in Paris, Abdul Wahid An-Nur, leader of the Sudan Liberation Movement, and in Khartoum, Sirajuddin Hamid, head of Peace and Humanitarian Affairs Department at the Sudanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Hamid, if I could start off with you first, sir. Jan Eliasson and Salim Ahmed Salim earlier called these talks a milestone in the reinvigorated process. Do you agree?
Yes, I do. The political process has been one of three pillars for resolving the issue of Darfur. That is the political process, the peacekeeping process, and the humanitarian aspect. And we have been working together with the African Union and the United Nations in order to accomplish a sustainable peace through these three phases.
Abdul
so
Wahid,
this phase of negotiation is very important.
Mr. Hamid, I want to go to Abdul Wahid An-Nur. In one of the reasons you've given for not attending the peace conference, you said that you don't want to talk until the peacekeeping force arrives. How about you talk first, so then they have a peace to keep?
First, I'm not talking about peacekeepers, I'm talking about peacemakers. Peacekeepers will be with a regime who really respect what they sign. This is rock state's outlaw regime. They're not going to respect what they sign. We will compromise for political issues, but will never compromise for security of our people anymore. You know that there is 4 interior agreements are not implemented, and SPLM quit from this regime, from unity regime. DPA is already dead long time ago. EPA is not implement. Cairo agreement is not implement. 13 Security Council resolution even not recognized by this outlaw regime. Why people want us to go to add ourselves in the waiting list? We want security first, which is a conflict suspension, to stop killing of our people, to stop rape of them, to disarm Janjaweed militia, whom are the mechanism of killing, and to remove the new settlers whom Arabize our people land. This will create a conducive environment in order to go to the second step, which is a conflict resolution, to address the root cause of the problem, which is an equal equal citizenship right in Darfur as well in Sudan, which include power sharing, wealth sharing, development. This is our process, and this is the process which we believe. Our indifference with this international community, they are starting from the second steps, which is a conflict resolution, and we want them to start from the first step, which is a conflict suspension, which is the security, which is the foundation of this process. Without security, the whole process will be collapsed. It will be repetition of Abuja. It will be repetition of.
But Mr. Anur, the Sudanese government has declared a unilateral ceasefire. Isn't that a good sign?
This is the media propaganda. We don't want new declaration. We want just to implement hundreds of agreements. N'Djamena Agreement 2004, Abuja agreements. So, we want them to implement just Security Council resolution, include 19 or 1591, which is the disarmament of their militia Janjaweed. We don't want new resolution. This is just media propaganda.
Let's go to Mr. Hamid. You'll have a chance to respond to Mr. Anur. And he mentioned a lot of the root causes that weren't addressed by the Sudanese government. Have you neglected Darfur for far too long, economically, security-wise, in terms of power sharing, resource allocation? It has very few schools and hospitals, very little infrastructure. Is it a case of the chickens coming home to roost?
Well, thank you very much, but I think Abdul Wahid is all mixed up because he is putting the cart in front of the horse. If you have issues, then you have to talk about them, and the forum for that is the table of negotiations. When he asks about security, security is already there when the government declares ceasefire. So he should come and discuss those issues instead of talking in media circles about the history of the problem. All these issues can be discussed on the table. But he's all mixed up. I mean, he cannot achieve anything by talking like that. And after all, when he talks about the issue of security, he is the one who initiated attacks on the public properties of the state, on the police and army garrisons, and he hurt civilians. So I don't know how he's going to achieve anything by talking like this. He should abandon this track, and he should come to the table of negotiations in order to resolve those problems.
Abdul Wahid Noor, will you respect the ceasefire that the government has called for?
Let's go and see our record in the United Nations and African Union. We are fully committed with ceasefire. We are respect these agreements. This is why we signed one single agreement, which is the ceasefire in Abuja, in N'Djamena and Abuja, and we really respect it. The problem is that this man is talking about the car before the carriage. This is 18th century saying goes. There is now many means of transportation, even Ferrari, which is the quicker, the machina of it in the back of the car. This is an old, but the problem is that is to talk about the issue clearly. We want security with the regime who is ready to sign anything but implement nothing.
Well, talking about security, sorry to interrupt you, forgive me for interrupting you. How can rebels assure that when that AU-UN peacekeeping force comes in, the 26,000 strong force comes in, it won't be attacked? In less than a month ago, the attack in Haskanita took place, in which 10 AU peacekeepers were killed. Oil facilities are not safe either. How can you guarantee that there won't be attacks on that peacekeeping force?
We are the people who call UN force and African Union force to be in Darfur. We will never defeat our statement. That is not our behavior. This is a genocidal mentality, and this is the regime mentality. This is the regime who attack UN for African Union force in order to frighten the international community that if they send force in the ground, they will face the same situation. And really in Darfur, anybody needs security. All of Darfur people, regardless their tribe, their geographical area, they need security from the regime. They want them to protect them from the genocide. You see that now they've driven all African from their land. And now they divide Arab into many groups, divide and conquer. Any group fight each among themselves. This is the regime mentality. This is never ever SLM mentality. SLM is created in human rights. Personally, I'm a lawyer, and I'm the man who founded SLM. We fully respect human rights. It is incongruous for us to declare SLM to create a secular, democratic, liberal United Sudan in the same time to attack African Union. It is not SLM and will never be SLM.
All right, time for a short break now. When we come back, we'll discuss the role of the international mediation in the current Darfur talks and examine their leverage on Sudan's government. Do stay with us.